Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of The Grove. I am Bernard Alvarez, and today we've got how should we say, a very loaded question we are going to be discussing. Today's topic is going to be what can one person do to change the world? A little bit earlier this week, this is the beginning of the week, so a little late last week, I had a good friend of mine post something on my page. I can't remember what exactly my original post was, but their post was, help me figure out what I can do to make the world a better place. And I said, you know what? That is an excellent, excellent topic. So many people, so many of us are wanting to change the world. So we're going to cover a couple things, do the laundry list of a couple things you can do. But I do have my own answer of what worked best for me and how I keep doing this after decades and decades, making my own small little contribution to making the world a little bit better and a little bit brighter, as I'm sure many of you want to do as well. So before we start, though, let me I'd like to do our reading from the Book of One, which is my book, which is also available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, everywhere around the web. This is chapter 26, and it's called Forgiveness. I picked this particular passage because I do believe, one, the book itself helps you get into the right headspace to change the world. However, this particular passage, number 26, Forgiveness, really prepares us to be able to offer ourselves up in service to humanity. So, forgive the world for not seeing truth, and you forgive yourself for the anger that you hold. Forgive yourself, release anger, achieve peace. In this manner, you will achieve oneness with all there is. In doing so, you manifest love for all people and things, good or bad, ugly or beautiful, intelligent or ignorant. Acknowledge and become aware, and you will be ever closer to your divinity. I hope that gave you some food for thought. Before we get started, I see a few of you popping in on the chat. Let me say hello to Terry. You made it. Good to see you, Terry. Thanks for being here today. And hello to Tom on Facebook. That's a very good answer, Tom. They can write something meaningful. I couldn't agree with you more. So, as I said earlier, last week, a very good friend of mine, one of my lifelong friends, said, what can I do to make the world a better place? And immediately I said, this is going to make a great show. Let me use this as a topic. And my head went to different places and ways of approaching this because it is a very loaded question. What can one person do to change the world? How many times have you heard someone say, or how many times have you yourself said to yourself, I'm only one person, I can't do anything about it? It's a common misunderstanding, quite honestly, as we see in history and in our current culture. One person does make a very big difference. Not everyone is going to end up like a Martin Luther King or a Joseph Campbell. But I do believe that even in our own communities, niche groups or whatnot, that we can become leaders and instigators for a better world. Now, here's a conundrum. What is a better world? So you want to make the world a better world. What's a better world to you? Is it a better world for everyone? Is it a better world for just the animals? Is it a better world just for the health of the planet? It's a very, very giant universal question. So that's why I figured I'd start with this laundry list. I just wrote down a couple notes of some really easy things, some very common things that anybody can do. So let me get the laundry list out of the way, and we'll go deeper into the metaphysics and psychology behind all of this big grand concept that we're talking about. So, of course, giving back to your community. Uh, I will say for me, being a part of my community in one way or another. When I was in Florida, I was a part of the metaphysical, the magical community, IRL on the ground community before the internet. Trying to teach, teaching classes, trying to get people involved in their own spirituality, doing Sunday services, being a part of the Unitarian Church down there, being a lay minister was my way of giving back to the community. Since I've been here in Roanoke, I stumbled upon, it happened to be great timing that Occupy Wall Street was here. I joined Occupy Roanoke. I was with them. Well, we only lasted about 3 years, but hey, 3 years is 3 years of trying to make the world a better place. As well, I fell into the beginnings of our local diversity center, and 10 years later, I'm still there. Actually, more than 10 years, I believe. But it's a way of being a part of the community. Now, for me, one of the great things about being a part of a community organization, whether it be a community garden, whether it be a community, even if it's just a community event like a coat drive for the homeless or something like that, it introduces you to other people that are making change in your community. Whether you're working with another organization or another event coordinator or project manager, you begin to network within that realm and that field of work, which then begins to open doors for you to start working on other things. Most of my community work, all of my community work until recently in the last couple of years, had been volunteer, and by doing the work that I do, I'm actually I have a very small paid part-time position now, but at least now it's like a adding to my income, a small stipend to add to my income. But you know, for other people, I know people that have gotten jobs as by volunteering and working in the community. Getting promoted to assistant directors, executive directors, project managers, and actually getting paid positions in other nonprofits. And that leads me to uh, nonprofit work. I firmly believe that, it might be a little controversial, but I do believe that every business should be nonprofit. But that's something I'm working toward. I was going to say it's a pipe dream, but it's one of the ways I would like to see the world change, that all businesses become nonprofit. That's not to say that people working in them can't make any money, but that's a whole nother show. But getting involved in the nonprofit world, finding a cause that you really, really care about, um, you might take a pay cut. It's most likely you probably will, unless you have years and years of experience. But even being a receptionist volunteer at a volunteer animal shelter, something like that, something that you care about, that you have a passion for, in the nonprofit world would be very, very helpful. I was very, very lucky to work with the Great Gathering, as you all know, with Miriam, and working for the Hopi and giving a voice to the Hopi tribe, doing some media work for them, spreading the word. And again, I got to meet so many amazing and wonderful people doing that, to elevate indigenous water rights. It is still very, very important to me. I've done projects. I've done other nonprofit projects, which you can go back and look at my stuff and see them. I think I did a book with the faces of Facebook. I forgot what it was called, but I played a part in that. It was about the people who inspired change on social media. That was a great project to be a part of. But anyway, so think about moving into the nonprofit world. Do what you do, but do it for someone who isn't out to be a predatory capitalist. There's nothing wrong with paying the bills. And let's go down the laundry list. consider a career in a helping profession. If you don't know what you're doing with your life just yet, maybe get involved in the medical field or the mental health field, or in the I don't want to say the word religious, spiritual field. Become an ordained minister or a open-minded, inspirational pastor, a rabbi, whatever it is that is helping to inspire people to do better and to be better. Um, and then, of course, there's the common stuff that we can all do in our homes. You know, don't don't waste plastic. Reuse things. Buy used goods. You don't need to have everything brand new. You know, I can go on into the laundry list as far as like recycling and all that kind of stuff. But I think by now we all pretty much know what we can do. Some of the interesting things that have come up though that I've been seeing a lot more lately are joining an electric co-op where they use sustainable energy. I don't know if they have it in every area, but I know we have it in our area. I just found it a little difficult to kind of figure out how to sign up to be a customer, but there is a way where you can sign up to have green energy piped into your home in certain areas of the United States. I don't know about the world for those of you watching outside of the U.S., but there are ways that you can change your source of electricity and where it comes from. And then, of course, the day-to-day stuff. Be nice, be kind, be gentle. Don't argue. One of the things that, and we're going to get into the meat of it all now in just a moment, now that we're about halfway through the show. One of the things that I find is a great step, and yes, I repeat it over and over again, and actually we're going to do a show on it next week, and that's meditation. I am a long time meditator. I do believe that meditation allows us, even if it's just for a few brief moments a day, just to shut it all off. A lot of people have the wrong idea about meditation, and I usually do a show about once a year on what is meditation, what is a meditation. So we're going to talk about that next week. But I will say, just in these couple minutes of mentioning this topic, that just sitting quietly for 10 minutes in the morning, just sitting with your thoughts, allowing yourself to feel the feelings you haven't allowed yourself to feel because you've been too busy or too distracted or too afraid. And for me, what I find is this opens up a doorway, an opportunity to get to know who you really are and what aspects of yourself you need to give attention to. If certain things are making you feel uncomfortable, kind of lean into it a little bit. Why is this making me feel uncomfortable? Why am I unhappy, with this aspect of my life? And kind of figure that out, because eventually what meditating and then figuring ourselves out leads to us clearing the path and having a more grounded approach in the way that we interact with the world around us. And that, my friends, is what I mean by the meat of it all. If we want to change the world, I believe, and I firmly, firmly believe and stand by this, is learning your authentic self. We may not achieve authenticity 24/7 hours a day. We may not understand what our calling is in this lifetime, but if we are making progress toward that, we are going to become more open-minded and more gentle with ourselves, having more compassion for ourselves, for our emotions. And by doing so, we end up having compassion for others. So now let's bring it all back to the beginning. What is making the world a better place? Is it for you? Is it for the animals? Is it for the oceans? Is it for the forests? Or is it all encompassing for every person? For every person. Again, this brings us back into the idea of why meditation is so important. If we wish to make the world a better place, we have got to step out of that story we're telling ourselves. It's very uncomfortable to step out of that story. No one is inherently evil. No one, whether you just, I don't care if you're left wing, right wing, Muslim, pagan, Satanist, whatever it is, this end and that end and in the middle, no one is inherently evil. People do evil acts. People usually that do awful things are coming from a place of fear. Many years ago, one of the first papers I wrote in this work, I think I might have read it on one of my YouTube shows back in 2006 or something. But it was a sermon that I wrote for the Unitarian Church. I believe it's the first time I ever spoke as a minister at the church. And it was the idea of, it was a talk on love and fear and how, in essence, we are love. We are love. And I mean this in the sense of when we are born, we are curious, we are trusting, we crave love and we give love without, it's instinctual for us to crave that love and give that love to our parents, to our relatives. And as we get older, through familial indoctrination, cultural indoctrination, religious indoctrination, educational indoctrination, we begin to learn the behavior of fear. That's not to say, there's that saying that it's not that fear isn't real. If you're being chased by a lion, you have something to fear. But everything else is in our mind. It's speculation. It's distrust. It's a lot of the times as we get older, that fear comes from some, and I know this word has become overused in our vernacular, but until we come up with a better one, I'm going to say trauma. Something could have happened to you when you were a child, and the way somebody's acting reminds you of that. And that's why I like to call it the story. It's a part of somewhere we're reminded of our story, something that happened to us. So, oh my God, he's reminding me of when so-and-so, I don't know, crashed their car into the front door of my house. I'm making it up. But so in order for us to generate compassion for ourselves, we need to learn how to generate compassion for others. That means moving past the judgment, moving past our story of that all, I don't know, liberals are evil, that all Republicans are evil, that all, people are evil and greedy and despicable, and the world's an ugly place and people are awful. And no, you have a conversation with any one of those people one-on-one, and most likely you will find something in common. I firmly believe that our past is not who we are. I believe that our mistakes are not who we are. Some people's mistakes are much worse than others. Anyone who starts war or profits from war, to me, is a very, very, very poor excuse for a human being. That's not to say that, everyone that works for someone like Lockheed Martin is evil. A lot of these people are just doing it to make a living. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying, as an individual, people can be different. So if we want to change the world, let's start with fixing the world. I won't say fixing, changing the world for better for everyone. What does that world look like to you? Take a moment and think about it. I'm kidding. You can tell me in the comments if you'd like. But just remember, as we change the world, we have to change along with it. In order to change the world, we have to be open to new ideas. We need to be open to conflicting opinions. We need to be open to changing our minds. We need to be open to allowing other people to be wrong. We need to be open to change. And change is very, very scary for many, many people. So when you say, what can I do to change the world? I will leave you with this. We're going to read some comments in just a minute, but I'll leave you with this. If we really want to change the world, I'm wondering which way I should go with this. If we really want to change the world, look within. I don't want to be cliche, but if we change the inside, we change the outside. The way we interact with the world is what's going to change it. Yes, by all means, get involved in your community. By all means, help recycle, do all the things we're supposed to do. But I do believe is that changing ourselves and changing our minds is what's going to change the world. Um, I'll give you one more little anecdote and I'll start reading comments and questions. But many years ago, I don't know how many of you have been following me for how long, but if you remember, I was very angry activist. I was spiritual, but I was an angry activist. I've always been spiritual. But during that time of 2006, 2007, things were getting a little hairy. Things had just started getting a little hairy with, the internet and the conspiracy movement and all that kind of stuff. And I remember I was very, very focused on exposing government corruption, which I still think is a very important thing. Don't get me wrong. I personally just can't do it anymore because it makes me too angry. I don't want to be angry. Maybe some 20, 30-year-old can do it like I was back then, but I can't do it anymore. Anyway, the reality of it is that eventually, instead of when we had the Global Illumination Council, I don't know if you all remember that page or that website. When we had the Global Illumination Council, we literally had tabs for every issue, from chemtrails to pollution to bigotry to political corruption to 9/11 truth, everything just categorized. And I was spreading myself so thin over all of them, trying to, help people wake up. You know what I'm saying? I don't like that word anymore at all, or woke. Ugh. Anyway, it got to the point where I just realized it was making me angry. And what part of that work was making me happy? What was I getting the most out of by doing this work? And it was your responses. It was your comments. Thank you. You've helped me elevate my consciousness. You've helped me to see things a little clearer. And it hit me. It was about consciousness. For me, it wasn't about exposing the truth, the corruption, the pollution, the greed, whatever, the bigotry, the racism. It was about allowing people and teaching people the way to elevate their own consciousness so that they can find the answers themselves, so they can be more discerning, be less speculative, be more questioning not only of the people around them, but of their own thoughts and their own beliefs. What's right for you may not be right for me. What's right for me may not be right for you. And that, my friend, is how we change the world. Help people to think for themselves. All righty. And that was a good little conclusion for the talk. Hi, Liz on Facebook. It's really good to see you. I'm glad you think it's a good topic. Tom wrote us a long comment. Let me see if I can read it ever so quickly. Oh, okay. No, I don't know who Gavrilo Princip is. Oh, wow. He posted something about the history of Gavrilo Princip, the Serbian member of the Serbian nationalist group. Just so you know what I'm reading. I'm not going to read every word, though. I mean, out loud to y'all. Okay, yes, that was a good example of one man that can change the world. And even with the dark times, there's something to be said about the dark times. I know the world is going through its own little, what do we call it? The dark night of the soul moment, between political factions and war and the earth, the climate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're going through a dark night of the soul as a planet. But if you do look in history, there's always quote unquote dark cycle, whether it be the Middle Ages, whether it be the burning times, the Inquisition, whether it be the Revolutionary War, whether it be the Civil War. I mean, there's been natural disasters, but what always happens when we get out of it? What always happens? The world becomes a better place. Many years ago, boy, I'm going to run longer than I thought. I thought this was going to be a short show. Many years ago, I don't know if I said it in the movie Collective Evolution when they interviewed me for the movie. By the way, if you haven't seen it, I need to see it again. It came out in 2012, and it had all of us back then who were like the change makers, some of which in the movie I did not agree with, but many of which I still am friends with and agree with. But anyway, I had said something about, and I think it's become like a cliche on the internet now. I said something to the fact that, you know, we are going through birthing pains. Humans are evolving, whether we want to admit it or not. We're evolving technologically. We're evolving socially. We see that happening, even though some people are kicking and screaming to drag us into the 50s again. But we are evolving socially. We are evolving in many, many different ways, psychologically, socially, whatever, on and on and on. Humans are evolving. But in all of this, we are evolving spiritually. And as our spirituality evolves, we're noticing more and more people turning toward alternative spiritual paths, whether it be paganism or some kind of new age thing or self-help or inspirational, that kind of stuff. People want to grow. People want to grow. Now, the only problem is, it's not really a problem. It's a part of the process. Remember, the part of the process is that as we are evolving, we're giving birth to something. And every woman out there listening who's had a child knows giving birth is painful as hell. We are going through some really crappy birthing pains. It's not the end of the world. It's changing. Society is not disintegrating. It's evolving. What we're seeing is a conflict of the world evolving and people don't liking change. And when people don't like change, which most people don't, I don't like it when they change the what is the dashboard of this software I'm using, which they just did a couple of weeks ago. I don't like it when they change the dashboard. I don't like it when when I can't find the little icon to click turn off notifications, you know. So if we don't like those little things, imagine the big upheavals that we're going through with human rights, with this whole idea of looking at our human history. I'm not even talking about American history. Human history, being critical of his story and looking and listening to her story. How was it for the indigenous? How was it for the Africans? How was it for the peasants and the women that were burned during the Inquisition? They never really talk about that, but now we're listening. Now we are being more critical. And you know what? I don't want to get too much on my high horse on this. We need to be critical of ourselves always, as individuals, as a culture, and as a society. I know a lot of people are all in an uproar because we're teaching that slavery is bad. Well, yeah, it is. But as well, let's look at our own history as an individual. I was a party boy douchebag in my 20s. I have to look at that. I have to live with that and learn from my mistakes. So does society. Let's learn from our mistakes. If we really want to make the world a better place, let's look at ourselves, change ourselves, but allow that change to happen. And again, be gentle with those that are afraid. Be gentle with those who are resisting change. Be gentle with everyone, no matter their beliefs, no matter their backgrounds, no matter their color, their religious beliefs, their political beliefs. They're all human beings. We are one human family, and we are going through this collectively. If we want to change the world, we need to act like we're one human family. We don't have to like everybody. I don't like everybody in my family. We don't need to like everyone in our family. I'm sure you all experienced that with the holiday weekend, but we love them. I will always love my family, and I'll always love all of you, no matter how differently we may see the world. I will always want the best for you, for our planet, and for everybody involved. Oh, thank you, Liz. Yes, we're moving into a non duality culture. Truth keeps being revealed. Yes, it's very, very true. I agree. All right, everyone. Oh, hello, Paul, to you too. Before I sign off, I want to say hello to everybody. And I will be back next week. We are going to do something on meditation. I haven't quite focused in. We will do a meditation. I kind of want to, my goal in next week is making you feel comfortable with meditation, whether it's a 5-minute meditation or a 20-minute meditation or a guided meditation or a silent meditation. We're going to cover a little bit of all the different types of meditations. Maybe you can find one that works for you. And yes, we will do a guided meditation as well. I love you all. Have a wonderful week ahead, and I will see you next time. Please remember to subscribe, share. Please feel free to tip me in the description below, or become a monthly contributor on Patreon, Facebook, or YouTube. You can subscribe and do a monthly donation automatically. Anyway, I love you, and I'll see you all next week. Go meditate.